Being politically correct may get you what you want, but it doesn't always get you what you need. Sometimes it comes down to simple math and staying true to the calculations so we can know that 2 plus 2 equals 4. And even after arguing otherwise, the math doesn't change. Neither does the facts. So, what is the world coming to? When an elected official can conduct themselves outside regulations, but still get a pass because, well, they are the most powerful legal authority in the state. Let's take Amanda Timson, for instance. Now, if we are to believe Miss Timson, her case highlights concerns about legal authority overreach and mishandling. Now, although specific details about Ms. Timpson's case are not widely publicized, similar cases often involved allegations of misconduct that goes unaddressed. Why? Because again, everyone is too enamored with the person in power to call a spade a spade. And just a sidebar, if this is your first time tuning into our channel, welcome. And to all of our returning subscribers and supporters, welcome back. And please don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell for all updates. Now, back to the story. Now, for the record, I have watched the whistleblower proceedings, and Miss Timson has all the makings of a credible plaintiff, and her version appears truthful, in my opinion. Now, according to Miss Timson, the Willis administration went on a witch hunt to shut her down after she refused to illegally agree to allow commingling of the funds. Commingle grant funds to a cause that conflicts with the grant guidelines. And clearly, the proceedings are ongoing. So, for the purposes of factual evidence, it's all alleged at this point. But it does represent my personal opinion, and it's my First Amendment right to highlight the same for the record. See, here are the actions that really annoy me. Behaviors by DA Willis, including like allowing judges under her authority to conduct secret squirrel meetings, or you can call them ex parte meetings, running courtrooms like the Wild Wild West, arresting attorneys who refuse to disclose where an information leak that is, came from. Like, why am I going to leak the information for a secret squirrel meeting? Why am I going to tell you what my source is when you weren't supposed to be having the ex parte meeting to start with? My goodness. Like holding unsentenced prisoners for years without a speedy trial, all while bragging about how many convictions they have. And of course, let's not even rehash the Nathan Wade drama. Paying her boyfriend over $600,000 to do what? To try a case that he had little to no experience in doing so. And so this might be the most egregious for young and impressionable admirers. Church brainwashing and using the pulpit to further her agenda. D.A. Willis, you may have to leave God out of your semantics. God is the least impressed by your attention drawing antics. And that's my opinion. Am I even allowed to say that Wade was her boyfriend? Or do I have to say that it was alleged? I did watch the proceedings with D.A. Willis, and if I recall, or my memory serves me correctly, she did concede that they were in a relationship. I just think that the argument or the defense was that there was no money involved. In other words, she didn't pay him because he was her boyfriend. She paid him because that was his worth, right? Because of his experience, which we know is not the case. But at the end of the day, I don't really think I have to say alleged there. But you guys know I've told you before, I work very closely with legal minds, very brilliant. legal minds. So I'm going to say that everything I say here today about DA Willis, about Mr. Wade, or any other person, they're all alleged. Now, there you have it. Quite frankly, I think it says just as much about the voters who put these people in office as it does the elected officials whose wayward antics are plaguing the nation. Now, we're not talking small and occasional lapses in judgment or human error, but systemic cultures that have created an unscrupulous pattern that has been accepted as the norm. And of course, we know that DA Willis didn't just wake up one morning and became the DA. So we know that there was hard work and dedication that got her to a place where she would even be considered suitable as a candidate to build a legacy. But the most important factor of a legacy is how it ends. And if DA Willis's legacy is heavily tainted with allegations of corruption and abuse of power, that legacy will get stepped on and eventually only remembered for the unpoised conflict and unjustified behavior while in office. Yes, the very courtroom that she presides over and demands respect, might I add. She apparently wouldn't return the favor to other judges. So you can see how her leadership is in question. Now, we couldn't really talk about DA Willis's good side without highlighting the dark side. Public perception is everything. Public opinion is divided on this case, with some people supporting DA Willis's tenacity and others criticizing her for what they see as unprofessional behavior that jeopardizes the fairness of the judicial process. What I really hate to see is the legal system being abused because of people's popularity. And of course, it's been happening for years, decades, centuries even. But let's look at the YSL RICO case, right? Was this an ex parte meeting occurring between Judge Glanville, the prosecutor from Fulton County DA, and Little Woody? Okay, this meeting took place without the presence of Young Thug's attorney, Brian Steele, which led Steele to demand a mistrial, arguing that such communication with a sworn witness is not permitted. But of course, I'm not an attorney, but Judge Glanville issued a show cause order to determine how Steele learned about the meeting and that he held him in contempt of court. So in essence, Judge Granville wanted to know who was the leak, who was the mole, right? Well, you know what, Your Honor, we're not telling you that, but you're an intelligent man. You went to law school, right? You've been on the bench for a while. Do the math, sir. There's you present, a court reporter, then the prosecutor, and the witness, who, by the way, was a loyal part of the YSL organization, and he's now snitching, right, to save himself. And you still want to know who was the leak? You know what? I know you have to be more intelligent than that. And I don't blame the attorney for Young Thug. I wouldn't tell you either, because quite frankly, that seemed like some crazy corruption kind of stuff to me. That's just my opinion. On the outside looking in. And of course, it's all alleged. Okay, but back to Miss Timson. And here's the very sad part of her story, as far as I'm concerned. So I take my hat off to Miss Timson for not allowing them to put her in a space where she could be prosecuted for commingling funds and utilizing grant money for something other than what the parameters allow. She's left to prove her innocence versus the other way around. It should be that, okay, there's evidence here that she had a flawless record. How would she even get to the point where she was to start with without having the ability and the skill set, the education and experience to qualify her for that position? It really annoys the crap out of me. when people have power and they overuse their power, and the person is left to defend themselves, to fight for their life, to fight for their job, their reputation, their ability to take care of their family, their finances, just because someone wanted a flex. And that is exactly what appears to be going on here. And of course, it is all alleged, but it is my personal opinion. Now, I'm neither in support or against this whole Trump saga. But if someone else would have been in charge of the Trump trial, whether he's innocent or guilty is not up for discussion, guys, right? What I am highlighting is wasting precious tax dollars on a flex. It's abominable, in my opinion. In other words, there's a 50-50 chance that the message could have been on target, but the messenger was all wrong. So did Trump attempt to steal the election in 2020? Maybe. But did DA Willis attempt to steal someone's husband? Maybe. You see what I mean, right? The messenger is just as important as the message. And of course, this is all alleged. I just feel like DA Willis made a mess of an already messy situation. So let's take the Trump fiasco out of this for a moment. So let's take Trump out of this for a moment, right? And let's talk about other questionable antics that would easily disqualify her to lead a state's legal matters. Like, is everyone lying on DA Willis? Well, absolutely not. But just like a very powerful bishop and other family who have escaped justice in Texas, everyone knows it's not what you know, but who you know. So what's my point? Everyone knows that the larger side of politics is stained with broken promises and cavalier deliveries. But when does that become a baptism by fire to wake up those supporters who continue to vote people into office because of the color of their skin or their popularity? And that goes either way. You know, there's an old saying that everyone that's your color ain't your kind, and everyone that's your kind ain't your color. Our vote needs to count, and color won't pay your bills, won't put the right laws in place, neither will it handle world crises effectively. Listen, I don't think that Miss Timson had any dog in the fight. It really comes across as she really just wanted to be in line with the legal parameters of the grant. So you can't get a grant approved for a particular purpose and then commingle the funds for something else and not expect to get in trouble. So let's say there was a 50-50 chance that maybe she wouldn't have gotten caught. Maybe she could have gone along with the status quo and used the funds for what they wanted her to use the funds for. But what if she was caught? What if an audit was done? Do you think that whether it was DA Willis or the other gentleman that was there even before Miss Willis got there, to be honest with you, do you think that they would, take responsibility for it? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. They would have said we never gave her any authority to do this. Absolutely not. And she would be on her own, knowing the parameters of the grant. Because if I recall correctly, while listening to the proceedings, she was the person who actually wrote the grant. So she knew the long and short, all the parameters and guidelines of what had to be done with that particular grant. So I take my hat off to her for standing on business, honey, for not allowing someone to put you in a space where you could face the wrath of the law, right? The long arm of the law. And in some cases, girl, the short arm of the law. But at any rate, guys, thank you so much for tuning in to Southern Confidential. And for more on this developing story and all things true crime, hit subscribe and don't forget to hit that notification bell so that you will get all of my updates. Thanks again, and I'll see you on the next video.